Take 5, the podcast. As always, to my right is Tommy Williamson.
Technically not always. I wasn't here last week, Nick, so you're wrong. Stop lying to the audience.
As usual.
This will be Tommy's last time on Take 5, the podcast.
It's true. I'm actually resigning from my position.
To my left is Taryn, the cameraman Sherwood.
Yo.
Or now Taryn, the audio control guy Sherwood.
We really got to do some more stuff so I can have a better title.
Yeah. And across the table is Isaac Grohl.
Hello there.
And as always, I'm Nick Grohl. Corey Williams could not be here today for unforeseen reasons. We have speculations, but we'll leave them to ourselves.
But screw that. I'm putting in a ton of stuff in the video right now.
Oh, okay. All right, well.
Putting in screenshots of text messages.
Well, this is me.
I
Since it's
imagine.
Easter week, this is me washing my hands of that matter.
Easter isn't until next week, though.
But it would have occurred this week. Oh, wait.
No.
No?
Also,
No,
Pontius
this
Pilate,
Friday is...
Pontius
this
Pilate's not
next
the type
Sunday.
of person you want to aspire to be. Nick.
Well, if he's played by David Bowie, yes, he is.
David Bowie is someone you can aspire to be, but not Pontius Pilate.
Pontius Pilate wants to be David Bowie. I want to be David Bowie, therefore Pontius Pilate and I are the same person.
Anyway.
Starting things off as usual, we have our box office roundup.
Roundup.
Yay!
Strangely enough, the winner this week was Home. I had no idea this movie existed.
Yeah. Kids are dying to see movies. So
Yeah, it's a kids movie. Just to give you the synopsis here, an alien on the run from his own people lands on Earth and makes friends with the adventurous Tip, who is on a quest of her own.
Just the tip.
It stars Jim Parsons, Rihanna, Steve Martin, Jennifer Lopez.
Steve Martin.
Jennifer Lopez!
Yeah. That's all I got. I don't know. I literally had no idea this movie even existed.
It looks like one of DreamWorks, sort of like.
Yeah, it's DreamWorks. Yeah.
I see a cat on the cover, so I'm already interested. I love cats.
I mean, it looks, just from the trailers and stuff, this looks sort of like the level of, like, Shark's Tale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Without the
can
bigger
see that.
name like Will Smith or
Yeah.
anything.
They have Rihanna. That's a pretty big name.
but not
True.
in a music form, but
Yeah.
not in an
when Shark Tale
form.
came out, Will Smith was more of a music person.
No, this was post-Independence Day.
This was like the end of Will Smith's big run in Hollywood before he started pushing his kids on us.
Was Shark's Tale like the beginning of the end?
Pretty much. It was like oh look, there's some clouds in the sky, and then it turned into a hurricane.
Oh, all right, that's
Rock you.
Anyway, following that, surprisingly, the Kevin Hart, Will Ferrell comedy Get Hard actually got $34 million.
something. Hard
Home had
joke.
$54 million. So
Well, my sister went to go see it yesterday, and apparently the entire movie is a setup to the joke of getting hard.
Are you
Like,
serious?
yeah.
like the literal penis joke. Of,
Yes, like the entire movie is
Spoilers.
one setup to to that one joke.
I can't wait. We are going to watch this.
It's
that-
like that joke I tell. It takes forever to tell, and then it's a horrible punchline at the end.
Speaking,
Full of
I mean, it's
disappointment.
just, I love it whenever there's like a really long build up to a really bad joke.
Well, apparently you got a 90-minute.
90-minute joke for you right there. Third place was Divergent's Insurgent. It now has 86 million, picked up 22 million this weekend, and Cinderella is still doing good business, making 17 million.
Of course, it
Has
is.
150 million domestically.
Okay.
So it has beaten the budget of 95 million. So we're probably not going to get a sequel, but we'll continue to get more live action Disney movies.
I don't know. I'd love to see Cinderella 2 live action. Okay, yeah. I couldn't even say that with a straight face.
It's good. Moving on, trailers that came out this week. A few notable ones. James Bond's newest outing called Spectre. Did I say that correctly?
Yes,
Yeah,
Spectre.
yeah.
Spectre.
It's pronounced Bond. Yes.
It came out this week, and it was more of a teaser. It wasn't a full-on trailer. It just gave us some hints of what the story will be about. Apparently, there's a bit of continuity going on from Skyfall. There's some remains, apparently, and they found some evidence of James Bond's ties to something. So I'm not sure what exactly it's going to lead to, but perhaps I know that Spectre, is it a a former, like, from some of the older movies? Is
I
that,
thought it related back to like one of the older
or is
villains.
it a new
Yes.
entity? Okay.
Spectre is kind of it's the organization that Blofeld ran back in the old James Bond movies.
Okay.
Blofeld being like the only reoccurring villain in the Bond franchise.
That's cool.
Other than Jaws, maybe. But
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
yeah. Spectre, also known as Smersh, I think it was called in one movie. Yeah.
Gotcha.
One thing I kind of noticed about the trailer is that, like, for the most part, the trailer's pretty dark and foreboding and stuff. Like, there's ominous music playing in the background. Then you cut to the title card, the James Bond, score or theme, whatnot, comes in like how you would expect it to, but it clashes so much with the previous imagery we saw in the trailer. Like,
Yeah.
I hear that music and I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be action and cars and women, and like the trailer had almost none of that.
Well, I mean, I like the new James Bond movies, sure. I like them a lot more than the Roger Moore ones, but it is like these movies are getting more and more dark and brooding, and I don't like that.
It seems they keep focusing more on James Bond himself and like his past
Rather
now.
than the missions he's on and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, like all of the older movies, they were very serialized. It was like, all right, here's the bad guy, stop the bad guy,
Yeah.
have fun, drink lots, sleep with beautiful women, drive fast cars. Yeah, I'm in. But
The American dream lived by a British spy. Like,
Yeah.
I thought that's what we all signed up for.
yeah, but I mean, all of these are there's a little too much, I think, continuity between the movies, because you could watch GoldenEye and not have to have seen, Thunderball.
Yeah.
Whereas, this one you have to have you have to have seen
At
Casino
least,
Royale
yeah.
and Skyfall,
At least, yeah.
because nobody remembers Quantum of Solace.
I do. I think it was a little
It was good.
underrated.
Yeah.
It's
It's a little underrated.
It-
Yes, it acts as pretty much as the epilogue to
Casino Royale.
Casino
Royale.
Royale, but I still thought it was a decent entry.
I actually have a fan edit that it literally
Combines them.
trims the movie into like 20 minutes and
Whoa.
puts it as the ending to Casino Royale.
Okay.
I want to see this.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So we get just a longer.
Yeah, you just get a long Casino Royale.
Okay.
All right. Gotcha. Cool. But anyway, the other trailer that came out, and really the only reason I brought it up was just because Jake Gyllenhaal's in it. Southpaw. It looks. Trailer seems to
Screw
be.
Rachel McAdams.
Well, it seems to be
And
more
Forrest
of your.
Whitaker, forget him.
It seems to kind of be that run-of-the-mill boxing movie,
Well,
It actually does a good job of making boxing look interesting.
Yeah. I thought it was like in the trailer, oh, this is just another boxing movie. But they did throw me off of how his wife gets shot. And then
That's not a spoiler. It actually
It's
happens.
in the
Yeah,
trailer.
it's in the trailer. Don't.
but played by Rachel McAdams.
And then it's all about him getting the custody of his
so
daughter.
there's some more like outside the ring type stuff. It's not just
Like with Rocky, you had his motivation was, oh, he wants to win. And now this character's motivation is like, oh, I need to get my daughter back.
No, he wants to win the court
And,
case.
well,
Crack! Boom!
all right.
But it just the reason I say the most interesting aspect of it to me is Jake Gyllenhaal is just because he's becoming one of the highlights of actors to look at. He was very good at Nightcrawler, and he's kind of pulling a McConaughey, where McConaughey did all these kind of bigger budget movies or rom-coms, and then now is suddenly going into the more interesting indie or biopic territory type stuff, the challenging actor work, I guess. So it's interesting to see him go from being super skinny in Nightcrawler to being this, I guess he's from the Bronx. I don't really...
Beefed up boxer.
Yeah, beefed up boxer.
Which I wonder, like, you said we've seen it in, like, McConaughey. We're seeing it in Gyllenhaal, or Gyllenhaal. I wonder if they go in with these mentalities of, like, okay, I'm going to pay my dues doing all these rom-coms, and then I'm going to get to the, more artistic films, or if that's just sort of like,
I mean,
you just
That's exactly
where you
what
can.
That's exactly what McConaughey even admitted to. He was just like, well, I wanted money first, and
Well,
then
that's what Heath Ledger did.
yeah.
I mean, he cut his teeth doing all of those, like, rom-coms back in the late 90s, early 2000s era, and then,
I just thought of a
broke-
Tommy level pun.
go ahead.
So that's how he got all those scars.
I don't get it.
Anyhow, but interest level on that one. I think Bond interest levels, just because it's Bond, the interest is already there.
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely, because I want to see what's his name, the
Daniel Craig or
no, I don't care.
Hans.
The villain.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the villain, Blofeld. I mean, because he's been played by like 3 or 4 other actors in the past, and it's always interesting.
What is
to
his
see.
name? The actor that's playing him. That's Inglourious Bastards, and
I know it, but I can't think of it.
I'll look it up. Keep talking.
What are you saying?
So, Isaac, would you like to get tacos later? Maybe.
I would
I mean,
enjoy tacos. I love tacos.
Oh, you said keep talking.
Yeah,
So,
you didn't
what
say
are we
what
gonna
about-
talk
What about Southpaw? Are you interested in
Oh
Southpaw?
yeah, I definitely
like-
have like a little bit of interest.
I mean, is
in
that is it go watch in the movies, or is it DVD?
It's probably wait for me till DVD.
Yeah.
And
It's
then I'll be
made-
like, oh, this is good when I actually
It's made
watch
by
it.
the same guy who made The Equalizer
Okay.
and movies like that. So it should be.
Yeah, I just remember Christoph Waltz.
There it is.
Oh, yeah,
Thank you.
that's right.
I totally
yeah.
didn't pull that up on my computer just now. We're in Tommy's
It'll
eyesight.
it'll be great.
But anyway, so Taryn, are you interested in either of these movies?
I've never been a big Bond fan, so like I can't really say that like I'm just I'm gonna be really anxious until the Bond film comes out. Southpaw, like I've never been a big sports movie guy either, but I mean there looks to be enough of a compelling story to at least give it a chance. I'll definitely probably catch it when it comes out on
It's
DVD.
definitely probably one of those that people will label as kind of Oscar bait, I think, for
Yeah, I
J-Lo.
kind of got that feel.
And-
Although this sort of seems like this is what should be like nominated for the Oscars rather than probably what we'll actually get.
Maybe, yeah. We'll have to wait and see.
This
but
looks like 2015 version
the
of
funny
Fury.
thing is 50 Cent's in it acting, and you're like, oh, okay, that's where you've been.
Well, I mean, if Ice Cube can do it, why
Yeah,
can't?
why can't 50 Cent? And another, probably the second most interesting thing to me about the trailer was the Eminem song at the end. When you watch a trailer, you're like, where's that song at? I want to listen to that song. I need to download that immediately. But anyhow, moving on to further news, we have the first image of Deadpool in his costume, or Ryan Reynolds in the Deadpool costume. And in true Deadpool fashion, he is laid by the fireside on top of a bear rug,
I wonder if Ryan Reynolds just has had that in his closet.
just waiting to
Yeah.
pull it out.
Oh, it's almost time.
I love it. I mean,
It's fantastic.
it's
that
right on the
that
money,
is that is
so-
Deadpool.
It's beautiful.
So, I mean, things like this, I think, are a great campaign, even just to kind of help reestablish Deadpool to audiences, just through Ryan Reynolds' Twitter. He's doing a smart job of leaking information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think the general audience that doesn't know Deadpool, that aren't, the comic book people, they saw him in Origins Wolverine and was just like, why?
Well, that
when
wasn't
they
Deadpool,
see the
right?
real Deadpool, like
Yeah.
if they get this going, everyone's just gonna love it. I think.
I mean, they never actually dropped the name Deadpool in Origins, did they?
They
They
said
called the Deadpool Project.
The Deadpool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was kind of what it was. But hopefully this will not act like any of that existed, like most of the other movies, or at least wipe the slate clean. This will take place in the post X-Men Days of Future Past.
We are no longer in the darkest timeline.
Yeah, we've worked it out. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we haven't seen a trailer or anything yet. The test footage that they released was really good. The big question will be, because obviously they're going to go for PG-13 instead of R, and Deadpool would lean much heavier on the R section of things, just because he references pop culture. He has machine guns. It's hard to.
I don't know.
On a violent spectrum, I
Yeah.
could see it going to R, but
Yeah.
language-wise, not really.
Not a big deal.
No, I mean
He
he's-
really acts like just a rebellious teenager most of
Okay.
the time.
If anything, this is probably going to be one of the lighter Marvel films, just because even though you have all the bloodshed, he's like
It's
very
Fox.
It is Fox. It's not
Yeah.
Marvel, but it's Fox Marvel, which is a different kind of Marvel. In case you didn't already know that from
They
previous
aren't fun.
discussion. So, well, at least they're not DC and Warner who've decided that they're not going to have any jokes in their movies.
Not
Yeah.
canon. Not canon.
But yeah, that's just it. We haven't seen anything yet from the Deadpool, like I said. But do you guys feel like these are the right steps in the right direction?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I've been on the Ryan Reynolds bandwagon now since he was announced for the role. I mean, I think it's perfect casting.
Yeah. I feel like this might be the first time Fox has like decided, okay, we might listen to the fans on this one.
They really liked the test footage, and if they really liked the CGI Deadpool, maybe they'll like the real life one.
They were super pissed when that test footage leaked.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason they're going ahead with it is because of the fan
reaction.
Yeah.
Yes, we can. We can change cinema, guys.
Yeah.
But to go on a down note from there, where we actually make changes, I'm going to have to go with the next news that Transformers, surprise, surprise, is making another movie.
Why do you have to ruin
But not only making another movie, they're
Gonna
making
end on a sour
they're making
note.
multiple movies.
Oh.
They're following in the footsteps of Marvel and James Cameron with his Avatar movies, and they're going to make multiple movies, probably a two-parter of some sort.
We don't need a Transformers cinematic universe.
We
do. I mean, come on. That's the Transformers share the same universe as G.I. Joe, and G.I. Joe and Transformers share the same universe as Ghostbusters.
Okay, neither one of those franchises have done well in theaters yet.
But think
Second
about
G.I.
this.
Joe movie was
but-
great.
But think about this. Both fledgling franchises, technically in the same universe. Why are they owned by the same studio?
Mm-hmm.
Paramount,
I think so.
yeah.
Paramount. So it is possible that there could be The Rock and Optimus Prime on screen together.
Holy shit.
While I'm not opposed to that,
Just look.
what is our
just-
faith level on
just-
that actually
whoa.
happening?
Listen, they've talked about Men in Black and a 22 Jump Street crossover.
Why not something that makes more
That's
sense?
because it's Sony, and they're throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks.
Well, speaking of Sony, they are actually buying the rights to Robotech.
I don't know.
Is
what
this
that
a slap?
actually is.
Yeah, I don't know what
This is no, it's not a slap.
Okay.
It's like when something comes out, other people have to copy it. And
Yeah.
just like the 90s, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 80s had Transformers, and there were all the different types of robot influenced.
Like Transmorphers.
Yeah,
But-
I don't have any opinion on this.
Yeah.
I still want to see a live action Street
I mean, it
Sharks.
dates
more.
back to the early 1980s. It has an animated series, an animated movies, RPGs, comics, novels, so on and so forth, toys.
Apparently, it's a big deal.
Apparently, it's a minor big deal. So
Okay, I still don't actually know what this is, but okay.
They're just
it's
like,
along the same line of like Pacific Rim and things
okay.
like that. I believe. Here's this. After discovering a crashed alien spaceship in South Pacific, people of Earth developed giant transforming mechanical suits in order to fend off various alien invaders.
So, yeah,
Pacific Rim.
Well, yeah,
Right.
Pacific Rim, Gundam, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
all
yeah.
the
Transformers.
Mm-hmm. Except, with Transformers, they don't have to have humans controlling them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
They're alive.
But yeah, so I mean,
Robots in disguise.
what we're seeing here is everyone jumping on the whole created universe or multiple sequels idea that Avatar is done or is in the
Gross.
process of doing. They're making 3 sequels right now. They
What?
got $900 million to make 3 sequels.
That's not going to
That's what
go
happens
over
when you make
very
$2
well.
billion with a movie. But what are your thoughts on these continuous universe building outside of the originators of Marvel who are consistently doing good business?
Yeah.
But you have people, DC's trying to get on the bandwagon, and they're approaching it from rather than building up to the team up, they're building from the team
Throw it
up.
in there.
And then Avatar is a different type of ball game where they're just like, here was this really successful movie. Now we're just going to make 3 more of them
Yeah.
and see what happens. And then Transformers, we have 3 super successful movies, and you know what? People are still buying them no matter what we do. So let's keep going.
I think some things can work really well with a universe. Like, I can see Transformers building into a universe. I mean, I can see that. I mean, I'd love to see a Megatron standalone movie or something. I don't know. It'll never happen. But, something like that. I could see that. G.I. Joe, things like that. Avatar, I don't see it needing a universe.
Right.
It was a good standalone.
Yeah,
let
right.
that be one-off.
This is just James Cameron having all the money and doing
Right.
what...
James Cameron's really wanting to be George Lucas
God,
right now.
I mean,
much.
I hated Avatar. I still do. But I'm okay with it being just one movie.
Right.
It was a very pretty movie.
Pocahontas
That's
in
about
space.
It's pretty much, yeah.
I mean, we've all
Dances
heard
with
the
Wolves.
jokes. Dances with Wolves, Fern Gully. I mean, it was. He focused and put all his money into making it look good, and hopefully there'll be more improvement in story, but no guarantees there.
Yeah.
But I think, all of these major studios, Fox, Sony, Disney, Marvel.
Yeah.
yeah, I could see each one of them having their own like established movie universe where, you know, like, oh well, I feel like, you know, watching a crazy movie about vampires and werewolves dating a boring teenage girl. Okay, well, I go to New Line. Isn't that who did it? New Line?
I have no clue.
But that's my
That
point.
sounds
Like,
right.
I could see it. I could
It just
see that
seems
working.
like all the studios are getting very top heavy, and they're putting the majority of their money into the big franchise of their studio. Marvel, you know, the X-Men franchise, the DC franchise, now the Transformers franchise. And so, I don't know. You think within all that money and all that put in, they would at least try to hire a good director or a good writer. But, you know, this is about making money and not having to getting all the money back for themselves.
I think the fact that every single studio is pretty much trying to have this big multi-universe type thing is going to be the quickest way to sour it for everyone.
Yeah.
I think
Oh, it will.
Because, I mean, Marvel, I think, is going to be safe just because they've proven over the last, 7 to 8 years that they can actually do this and do it right. And they were lucky enough to be the first ones to try.
Yeah.
But everyone else is just going to be, well, how can we do that but cut more of a profit because we're not Disney?
And, I mean, it's just I think even with the superhero genre, there's the very real potential for oversaturation.
Oh, definitely.
It's
I
already
mean,
kind of
we're
started.
almost there, if not already.
We're getting close to it.
Oh, we already hit the oversaturation market for myself.
And there's also they're using all these old franchises to kind of feed off our nostalgia.
Yeah.
You know, with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot, the Transformers, G.I. Joe, now Robotech for those people that watched it.
I'm okay with, because Marvel's done it. It seems like this extended universe thing, whenever it works, it's fantastic, with Marvel. And it makes sense that DC also tries to do it, but it keeps going, and now you got Transformers, looks like, so they're going to try it. I'm okay with everyone who's doing it so far. I just don't want to end up with, a princess universe, like they're making...
Oh, I think that road's already being paved.
God.
It's already been done with Sophia the
now
First.
it's too far.
But here's my thing about Transformers. You talked about spin-off movies and stuff. You know, the problem with Transformers is unless you're watching unless you're familiar with all of the shows and TV and toys and stuff, they haven't done a great job of developing characters on screen. Like, yes, we all know Optimus Prime, we all know Megatron, we all probably know Bumblebee. And outside of those
we know
three,
Bumblebee better because of the films.
right. And outside of those three, that's really it. I mean,
Jazz.
there are others. I'm not
Died
saying,
in the
but
first film.
but you haven't been given a lot of opportunity to dive into any other robot characters because it's been more focused on the humans and Shia LaBeouf and Mark Wahlberg. And so,
Shia LaBeouf.
if you're wanting a spin-off, it's like, well, what do you do? You know, you could maybe go back to what caused the Transformers to come here in the first place, the war on their home planet and stuff like that. But
That'd be fun.
Yeah, the whole war for Energon.
it would be interesting to see a Transformers movie specifically only about the Transformers.
And not how they affect us.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the pitfalls for them. I think one of the good things about Marvel is that, you know, I think they see the line in the sand and realize we can't make Iron Man 12. And that's why it's essentially like right now I think we're nearing what's going to be the middle point of all these heroes, and then the Infinity War movies will see them phased out and we phase in the new heroes, and that's what will somewhat keep them fresh is here's all these new heroes. It's not the same people doing the same stuff, you know.
And that's when I'll say, okay, done. The ending. The end.
Which is fine, you know, for people that only were concerned about Captain America and Iron Man, you know, they don't have to keep watching the story. It's like, here's all the characters I care about, and this is their entire story. I'm done. We can move on.
And in 30 years, we can have a nice little cameo from an elderly Robert Downey Jr.
Something like that. Yeah. And so I think that's just where DC's going to be okay, or at least has the chance to not be completely oversaturated in a few years. But the other ones, they have a lot of challenges to go with.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, talking about nostalgia, comic books and things, more recent news, Steven Spielberg has signed on for this movie called Ready Player One. I don't know if you're aware of it.
I have the book. I haven't gotten to read it yet.
But it's an interesting kind of synopsis. It's in the future, and this guy escapes his grim surroundings by spending his hour. Like, it has to do with some virtual reality kind of thing. It's basically harkening back, and I think there's a lot of references to 1980s video games and stuff.
So it's like Total Recall.
It meets Tron.
Maybe
Total Recall meets Tron.
You can
Okay.
find more details about it, but it's interesting because we're seeing the movie that is coming out with Adam Sandler, Pixels. Saw that trailer where
I can't wait.
it's an interesting thing like that, but again, like I was saying, they're really jumping on the whole nostalgia kick from the 80s are really big right now.
Yeah.
And so it's basically, to give you kind of an idea of it, it's something of a Who Framed Roger Rabbit of pop gaming, retro geek culture, everything. It's 2044. The death of a creator of a massive virtual reality framework called Oasis leads to a kind of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory worldwide search for clues to the Easter eggs and keys which unlock ownership to Oasis, which is also chased by corporate henchmen a la The Matrix.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
And so
this is just like a hodgepodge of different.
it's a lot of different things.
This is pretty cool, I think.
So
that
it
sounds
has
cool.
an interesting kind of thing. It's
right.
pulling from different things. So we'll keep it on the radar.
Yeah.
I think it's just now being kind of put all together, but it's definitely something interesting and unique as opposed to just adapting other things. And I don't know to what extent or what really it's going to entail.
Okay.
Maybe Taryn will start reading, but
Yeah.
Ignoring that fever dream about the guy in the refrigerator and the nuclear explosion that we don't talk about,
Right.
has Spielberg ever made a bad movie?
no.
I think he's made some underrated movies
Yeah.
that we look back on that were good that just didn't get critical acclaim.
Like War of the Worlds. Like, it was a good movie, but people...
AI to an extent.
Yeah. So, I mean, I trust Spielberg.
Because it's true. Like we were watching that video of Tom Hanks going through all his
Yes.
movies, and you forget how many good movies he's actually made, and that's
All of them.
all of
Pretty
them.
much, yeah.
Because like he just kept going, and we're like, yeah.
Yeah, they only
okay.
really kind of phased by one of them.
Just the kind of people that really make whatever they're in good.
But I mean, if you just go through what he's made down the line, actually made already, Lincoln was a good pick of. It was long, but it was good. I didn't see War Horse, but I heard it was good. Adventures of Tintin, one of those underrated. Not everyone watched it, but great animation. They did a really good. It was fun. It was cool. That movie we don't talk about. Munich was an Oscar winner. War of the Worlds, Terminal, another Tom Hanks
was
movie.
great.
Terminal
Catch
was
Me If You
great.
Can was Catch Me If You
Yeah,
Can.
that's a good one.
Minority Report, AI,
Saving Private Ryan.
And now we're
Amistad,
getting into
Jurassic
Park.
World, Lost World, Schindler's List,
Great movie.
Yeah.
Hook.
Yeah.
Lest we
That's
forget
him?
Hook.
I didn't know he did.
And then you have
Crack food!
and then there's other ones like like we talked about, the underrated ones. Always, like I know several people that love that movie. Last Crusade, Empire of the Sun, Color Purple, Temple of Doom. And then there's
E.T.
He had a segment on the Twilight Zone movie, E.T. Raiders of the Lost Ark. 1941 might have been a misstep, but I haven't. Have you seen 1941?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
seen it.
But is it? I know it's a comedy action kind of movie.
It's not bad,
It's not, and it has Michael J. Fox in it. So,
Oh, okay.
I mean, and Belushi, right?
I think.
So it's not. I mean, most of his missteps, they don't misstep very far. Like
Yeah.
everybody gets one, and we all know which one that one was. And I think a lot of that falls more on George Lucas saying, "But I want aliens and stuff, and it's gonna be really cool," and him be like, I can't. How do we? It's like telling your friend that his idea sucks. How do you go about that? I don't.
Like this, Nick, your idea sucks. That's how you do it.
Okay, all right. Well, it's but I mean, yeah. And Jaws was the thing, and then he had the TV movie Duel, which a lot of people treat in regard as almost as if it's an actual theatrical release. My family members like that.
I mean,
movie.
Steven Spielberg's a name you can trust.
He's a name you can trust, especially once he sits in that director's chair. Producer chair, I mean, obviously he doesn't have as much control.
Yeah.
But,
At that point, people are just using his name to please come watch our movie.
Steven Spielberg said it was a cool idea.
Yeah.
Please come watch it, please. But, yeah, I think...
Yeah, you're doing good work, kid. That's not a bad story.
nah. And then once it bombs, he's like, yeah, I totally told them it was stupid.
It was a bad idea.
I don't know why they did that. So, but yeah, I think it's definitely something that draws interest. I believe previously it was supposed to be Christopher Nolan that was going to direct, or he was rumored to be the director. Which, I mean, you know, a lot of people have been like, cool, but they still would be like, I don't know about it.
And Steven Spielberg's been on a video game kick here lately, because not only is he doing this movie, but he's actually like done a couple of video games himself. Yeah,
okay.
like on the Wii there was Boom Blocks, which like it's this weird like nothing you would expect from a Hollywood director, but I mean you can just tell he kind of has this really deep interest into the culture and stuff.
And all video games are cool. So
yeah.
And, I mean, that's another thing you can think about with Christopher Nolan, you know, if it's a movie centered around, like, 80s video games and stuff, Steven Spielberg's the right guy because he was there. He was involved in it. Christopher Nolan just now is coming to prominence, and he probably was a young kid when it happened, but at the same time, Steven Spielberg was in it, you know, so he probably has a good idea of how things were back then and has seen video games and their evolution up until now, modern day. So I just think that's an interesting thing, and it's definitely something that we'll probably be keeping on the radar just to see the development of it. And we probably need to figure out exactly like what it's going to be about. But
I'll read the book. I got it with my Loot Crate last month. So yeah, and with Spielberg directing it instead of Nolan, that means we'll actually get some bright colors and stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But moving on, there's a cool, again, this is kind of a nostalgia type thing, throwback to childhood.
We know where our comfort zone is, Nick.
Exactly. But the Scary Stories books, they are getting a movie.
How?
Ooh.
They're getting a movie in the sense that they haven't reported details, but here's one thing that scares me. CBS Films is making it.
Ooh.
Oh.
I see your concern.
That's the first concern.
Yeah.
And then they hired John August to write, I guess, the script for it.
Okay.
John August, his biggest connection is Tim Burton.
Okay. I mean,
I don't know how.
His screenwriting credits include Big Fish,
Great.
Titan AE,
pretty good.
Charlie's Angels,
Also
both the first and second,
Okay. Like,
and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Corpse Bride. So a lot of ties to Tim Burton.
yeah.
So a couple of
So there could
misses.
be this could be them trying to bring in Tim Burton to an extent, which wouldn't be a terrible choice for the movies, especially and because the big thing that you have to think about is, are you catering this to the 20-somethings that grew up reading them, or are you catering to kids?
It's CBS Films, so probably the kids.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, CBS Films did The Woman in Black, which I love the stage play, but I have some deep, serious issues with that film. I think I'm excited for it in the sense that I just love the stories.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I'm kind of concerned because how do you take what's sort of a collection of short stories and the most prominent thing of those short stories isn't the stories themselves, it's the original illustrations.
Right.
That's the thing we all remember.
Well, that's the thing. That's what they also mentioned. You know, if you're gonna do it, those images are pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
And in today's society, it's, oh, don't scare them. Oh, everybody wins. Oh, we don't want to mess with that. It's like, I don't know. That would be quite the challenge to make it something that
Kid-friendly.
It'd really take out like what makes it what it is if they didn't make it scary. Right. And with the story, they can make it like some kind of anthology.
If they do it like say VHS or some of the ABCs of Death, something like that. And it could work because most of the stories are pretty short, and you could condense it into like a 10-15 minute short. Or
they
whatever.
could even do it kind of like we did it, where you sit in a blanket tent and have a bunch of just kids reading the stories and then visualizing the stories on screen.
or like 6 grown men in a blanket fort.
What was that movie that was terrible and came out a few years ago? Like Movie 43 or something
yeah.
like that, where it had like the individual short stories and there was just a framework connecting them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just have a bunch of kids reading from the book and the stories come to life as they
Tell the story.
tell the story. Because the only other way to do it is how I think Goosebumps is doing it later this year, where R.L. Stein's monsters and stuff all come to life in the town that his daughter and her friend live in, and they have to fight the individual monsters in a single movie. Which, I mean, you can do scary stories that way, but I think if you're wanting to keep true to sort of the essence of what we remember of those books, I say go with the blanket fort. You can't go wrong with a good blanket fort.
Right.
Wow.
I mean,
Ours was well put together.
A good blanket
Is
fort.
Yeah.
sturdy, but
Structurally, it was great.
We need to invest in some sort of blanket fort ventilation system.
It's true.
if you listeners have any idea of a good ventilation system for blanket forts, let us know in the comments.
I mean,
Please.
it's not like we could have just put blankets up around the entire room where there was already circulation.
But it's. I mean, like Goosebumps, you know, it's interesting they're pulling from the scary stories, and maybe they follow because it has happened. Are You Afraid of the Dark? You know, they had a TV show and
7 seasons.
Yeah, 7 seasons. And
Really?
they were
That
able
long?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, there was a 3-4 year hiatus
Okay.
between them.
Okay.
But they were able to make consistent programming for kids that wasn't too scary.
Yeah.
Now, because you can have essentially what we don't know yet is there's 2 different types of films that could be made out of this, and there's the kiddie Are You Afraid of the Dark style, or there's the we're actually gonna go for it and scare the crap out of you, which probably won't happen because of their children's books and they're sold as children's books because children could read the books and then want to go watch the movie, and you know how parents are these days. They're like, yeah, go ahead, whatever, and then the kids get scared and watch the movie, have terrible nightmares, and then they blame the movie people.
Yeah.
So.
Which, I mean, yeah, we just live in that day and age where, like, parents aren't either being responsible and monitoring what their kids watch, or they're being overly protective. And
They're more reactive than
They're
proactive.
crappy parents.
Whoa.
What?
There are no crappy parents, just bad kids.
Why not?
I don't
both?
stand by that statement
Yeah,
at all.
no.
This is a debate that is not for our podcast. Maybe if there was a movie about it.
Yeah.
But
I have an idea.
I think I honestly think it needs to be a good mix of both. I think we do need to bring some of the like yeah, we're gonna scare kids, but it's the parents' responsibility to like tell the kids, no, the guy with the hook isn't gonna come into the car and pull your loved ones out of it and dangle them from the tree.
But it will if you
above
don't brush your teeth.
Yeah.
I mean, things like that. It's
because right now a scary kids movie is considered to be like Hotel Transylvania.
I don't even know if that would be because it was more comedy than.
Well, yeah,
I was
because
very
it has
scared.
vampires and mummies. It's scary.
I mean, try to think of the last scary movie for kids that came out. What was it? See,
Yeah.
it wasn't Transylvania where there was just like, oh, it's the monsters, but they're funny and Adam Sandler and gang.
It makes you like them. Like
Yeah.
you're not like, oh.
I mean, there really isn't a market that normally happens for it.
Grown-ups too.
I mean,
The horrors of living with actual people. Yeah.
so I just they're gonna put themselves in a hard place if they. I mean, the easy out is we just make the scary version and then just deal with the backlash, but the more probably what they're gonna focus on is kids come watch our scary movies and we're gonna release it around Halloween and. Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know why most movie theaters aren't going towards the controversial rather than the safe. Because if anything, it's shown that movies that you gear to being safe usually end up flopping.
Mm-hmm.
But the more controversy you stir up, the more people actually want to go see it. I mean, look at The Interview. It would not have gotten done as well as it did if it didn't have that controversy surrounding it. Now, I know it's more of an adult film rather than a kid film.
I see what you mean, though.
But yeah, I mean, it's the same sort of principle. The more controversy you stir up, the more people are going to be like, well, what's this movie all about, really? And that's how you get people's money.
Right.
Money.
Isaac, any final thoughts?
It's all about the money.
Make it
If anything we've learned while discussing this podcast,
It's all
about the money.
It'll all be mine.
We were watching the behind-the-scenes footage. We were watching Hunchback of Notre Dame,
It's like
and Jason
from Seinfeld?
Jason Alexander.
Alexander was giving the narration over the making of Hunchback, and he was doing this cheesy. Oh, Hugo was the most important character from Hunchback, and
The gargoyles.
and he gets a phone call, and it's corporate Disney being like, "There's more important characters."
You can't say that, man.
He's like a mouse, a duck, and a dog. What are you talking about? And he hangs up. But the end of it is there's banging on the door, and it's evil Mickey Mouse. He's like, "Jason, are you in there?" And then he's like ordering Goofy. He's like, "Goofy, go around back and lock the doors. Don't close the windows."
It's like, oh shit!
Jason's, for all we know, Jason Alexander was dead, and he's been replaced.
After seeing how South Park represents Mickey Mouse, it's
Yeah.
a little more believable now.
So,
He's now actually haunted by the ghost of Mickey Mouse.
but yeah, so yes, money is the answer, and Mickey Mouse will get all of it in his Scrooge McDuckian
Empire
that he's built.
That's funny when you have a whole character based on the concept of greed, and yet it's the mouse that we're actually attributing it all to.
You just swim here. I actually own all this money, Scrooge. But moving on.
Scrooge McDuck is only there for tax purposes, so he can keep more of his money.
It's all one big Ponzi scheme.
My God,
we figured
we
it
have
out.
to tell someone.
No, we
Delete.
don't tell anyone.
There's banging on the door, guys.
But for further news, something we just pulled up actually and was informed of was apparently Hugh Jackman has confirmed pretty visually that
Maybe he just likes to wear those.
that Wolverine 3 will be his last outing, more than likely.
Wait, Wolverine 3? Or
Yeah, Wolverine
the
solo
third
film.
solo Wolverine movie.
Okay.
Is that after X-Men Apocalypse?
Yes, after
Okay.
Apocalypse.
All right.
So he confirmed it via an Instagram post where it has a photo of his hands, and one of the hands has his adamantium claws out, and it says Wolverine one last time. So
Okay.
I think he's becoming aware. I think he doesn't want to run this into the ground, but
Run it into the ground. He carries those
I know he
movies on
really
his
does.
back.
I know he does. But his solo movies often kind of do this. They go up and down. So
Wolverine was good.
Wolverine was
Well,
good,
okay.
but it lacked a good ending.
The thing
So-
I'm worried about is the X-Men movies have never been really what you would say strong on their third film.
No.
X-Men:
Well-
The Last Stand
Oh yeah.
is,
Never mind.
and we're getting to the point where we're about to have two trilogy-ending movies back to back.
Mm-hmm.
X-Men Apocalypse is going to finish up the First Class trilogy, and then the third Wolverine film is going to finish up the Wolverine trilogy. Which, please, can we not get another Wolverine origin story?
They won't. It'll probably be something because apparently Patrick Stewart is attached.
You actually can't blame the screenwriters because in the comic books, the only stories that Wolverine has are origin stories.
Pretty much. It all comes together.
So you blame the comic book.
So that's just how
can
it is.
Wolverine just pick up a hobby, do something new?
I mean,
Just-
and the only one the one that they've considered is Old Man Logan. It's a storyline. Has it been recently released, or was it?
That was like 8 years ago.
Okay.
But you can't do Old Man Logan without a couple of key players, namely the Hulk and Spider-Man
Okay.
and
So-
Hawkeye.
So they're gonna have to
And Magneto.
They're gonna have to
Okay.
Spider-Man this.
I just
to
know
get that to
in
work.
I just know in interviews that they brought it up. It said Old Man Logan, and he's like, "Well, we're considering it." So
I mean, I'm sure everyone in the world would love to see Old Man Logan. The thing is, the reason why the Wolverine solo movies aren't that great is because Wolverine is an R character on his
Yeah.
own. He is a hard R just because of violence.
Yeah.
it's kind of the same issue we were talking about with Deadpool. There's a line, and Deadpool can probably be okay with it because he's pop culture, and you don't have to rely on the violence and stuff. Like the character stands well.
He's all comedy. That's the draw for Deadpool. Whereas
Yeah,
Wolverine
he
has to be
a
very
wider.
And you have to
Right.
worry about people like Punisher and Wolverine, who are very edgy, very R associated. And the movies and Marvel Studios, now owned by Disney, will probably be very less likely to do that.
Well, can't we just do like a 80s PG-13, which is just, like essentially
An R.
R?
But
I mean, as
the
long
good
as
old days.
he can only say the F word once. So
He hasn't said it in like 8 films,
Like-
so
No,
I
he
think
said
we're
it-
good.
I saw-
he said it. He
said
said it
it
twice.
in first
He
class.
said it- oh, he did?
Did you
That's
watch
right,
it?
yeah.
We were watching something, and yeah, it was the Honest trailer on Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
and how it had all these swear words in it.
Yeah, because it
Yeah.
was and they said shit like 3 times.
Like all- yeah.
and all this stuff.
Still PG.
Still
Mhm.
PG.
Yeah.
So.
The 80s were a wonderful time.
Let's go back. That's what they're doing.
That's what they're doing, but
they're
they're-
cashing in on us wanting to go back to the 80s.
But they're not bringing back the important bits,
You know.
like how the rating system was done.
Well, to cap off this very nostalgic, very 80s centric episode of Take 5, the podcast, we were actually talking about this. I don't think we actually had discussed it yet, but about a month ago, they had announced that Netflix was wanting to make a Legend of Zelda series.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was pretty big backlash because a lot of people, the gamers, their big question was, Link doesn't talk. How do you make a series about a guy who doesn't talk?
And even in the games, there's not much text you give.
But recently,
well.
the CEO has said that it was the wrong information. That we have not, as of now, I have nothing new to share with you in regard to use of our IPs for any TV shows or films. But I can at least confirm that the article in question is not based on correct information. So it might be them just backtracking and going, they're on their own.
It's like the vaguest way of saying it's not happening.
Yeah, pretty much. Without like completely throwing Netflix under the bus. It's just saying, well, Netflix lied to you. Basically is what they're saying.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this for a second. I mean, there is people like Mario who talks, but he doesn't say a lot. And they made Mario the movie, which was probably the biggest issue, the biggest
greatest.
issue.
No.
People of the 80s, people that grew up watching it, there's still a niche for it where people are like, yeah, it wasn't Mario, but it was fun. It was
a studio having no idea how to
right.
handle the
And
IP.
there's all types of problems wrong with it. For those of you that don't know, it was originally going to be very much like the video game series, and then
Glug 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 glug.
and then they decided to give it this dark twist, and they pulled in this couple directing team, like a married couple, to come in and direct it, and their only claim to fame was this 80s dark kind of TV show.
Yeah.
And that was it. They had no other, and apparently they changed the script constantly. Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo drank on set to survive the shooting of the movie.
I know what that's like.
And so there was a lot of problems with it, obviously, just in the making, and then it came out and people were like, this isn't Mario. Now, yeah, again, it had that dark kind of 80s vibe to it, so I think a lot of people growing up with that still kind of look at it and go, it's fun to watch every once in a while. But
when I feel like punishing myself.
it itself created this big issue between Nintendo and Hollywood, where it's like, we don't want them destroying our creation so much. And so they're very much against, they hold it very close and don't want it to, they don't want the kid to grow up and go to college, basically.
Nintendo doesn't play well with others anyway.
He doesn't. They don't, no.
There are very few instances where they do. Like, Capcom has taken care of some of the Zelda handheld games pretty well, and I think Team Ninja was responsible for like the Metroid Prime series. But other than that, and especially when it comes to other sources of media, Nintendo does not mix well with almost anything.
No.
Like, there is the 1980s cartoons that are as dated as
Amazing.
dated can be.
They are.
They are amazing.
But
Isaac had to stop me from buying the complete Mario animated series on DVD.
I did. I thought you were trying to buy whatever.
Anyway.
Excuse
Tell
me.
Oh gosh. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with.
But really though, if you want to see Zelda transition into something, because they had talked about it being, like you had said, it being a family-friendly Game of Thrones type thing without all the nudity, violence, and stuff.
Yeah,
if they
so
did?
nothing good about Game of Thrones.
But I mean, if you want, I know there's a lot of gamers, the gaming community out there is like, you can't do it because you can't make Zelda talk.
You mean
Or
Link?
Link talk. But I mean, it's kind of the thing. It's like if you want Zelda to have his movie, if you want that dream movie you've always wanted, you have to. That has to be a reality. Link has to talk because you can't have a main character unless it's a silent movie. You can't have.
Excuse
main
me, Nick.
character.
I think.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it'd be better if they just tried again at the animation series instead of doing live action.
Because I believe that's actually still in consider. Like I think they're making a Mario animated movie. I believe last I heard.
Yeah,
there's a rumor
I
of
remember
that.
something about it. It's just Nintendo doesn't like to release a lot of information.
Right, they're very
Because
secretive.
adapting something like Mario or Zelda is just so difficult to do, like in live action. So just make a cartoon.
But I mean, the market for it right now is really good because Harry Potter's gone, Lord of the Rings is done, hopefully, and
Yeah, the fantasy genre is going to be hurting for something.
So why not? If what is Netflix's loss?
I'm so sorry.
Isaac forgot to turn off.
It was a work alarm. I'm sorry.
Anyway, now I've lost.
I'm so sorry.
The fantasy genre is going to be
But
hurting for something.
they're going to be hurting for something. So Netflix loss should be some movie studios gain. But basically, what's going to have to happen is you have to go in and go, we want to make the movie, but we know you have concerns, and we are willing to follow you on those concerns and find the best way to make this movie. But I think one of the big things that you're going to have to do is let Link talk.
And the main problem we're going to have is that the way Nintendo does business is a very old school style of doing it. And I'm not saying like 80s old school. I'm talking about like 1800s old school.
Whenever Nintendo first started.
Exactly. Developers and people that have worked at Nintendo have left the company because it takes forever for any new ideas to be implemented. Unless you're Miyamoto, you're not going to get your ideas, just instantly, like, yeah, let's do that.
Which goes back to my whole wrestling and Nintendo parallel. Anyway, to quickly, for you viewers that don't care about wrestling, even though it's today's WrestleMania, and shame on you for not watching it.
Oh, yeah.
Wrestling has the same kind of scenario where they have the owner of the company, he's the big decider. He micromanages a lot. He makes decisions, and there's not reintroducing new characters and new ideas is a hard thing because remains on his one hero, whether it's John Cena or Mario, to continuously overcome the odds and win at the end.
Yeah, but the thing is, John Cena has cool music.
Mario's
got cool music.
I said that sarcastically, Nick.
I think the one problem I have with that correlation is that people forget Nintendo release a bunch of new IPs even every year.
But that's the thing, that they don't
stick.
promote it. And
Yeah, they don't stick, and
there's
people don't
for
buy
every
it.
for every Pikmin, for every Animal Crossing, for every
Elite Beat Agents
Elite
was
Beat Agent.
fantastic.
See, nobody in the
For every
mainstream
Bayonetta 2.
for every nobody really knows about those, and because Nintendo doesn't do a really good job of when Mario comes out. It's like here's Mario Kart, here's Meta Super Smash
Most of that
Brothers.
is the fans. Like
Yeah.
you throw out a name like Mario Kart, people are in automatically because of name alone.
You throw out a name like I get back to wrestling. You throw out a name like The Rock. You throw out Stone Cold Steve Austin. You
Yeah.
throw out Sting or Hulk Hogan. People are like, I got it. I'm in. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But you throw out, I mean, right now Dean Ambrose or something like that. Nobody really knows about it.
Occupado. We have an.
The glass breaks and in comes Corey Williams.
Speaking.
Oh no, I'm not here.
Oh, you're not here.
You're totally here. I'm looking at you.
Corey, you're here.
There's people singing outside. I didn't want to be outside anymore.
So anyway, we're wrapping up our story here.
Hey, those are nice pants.
I love those pants.
But
Yeah, okay.
Where'd you get those?
anyway, so to wrap up our conversation,
Nintendo, get your shit together and start, pushing these new IPs. Promote them. Cause
It's basically, if they're not in Smash Bros, they're not important. Almost.
Cough
If they're
Mega
in
Man.
Smash Brothers, they're not important.
but think about it this way, and another good comparison is the Calvin and Hobbes series. Bill Watterson, the creator of the series, was ready to sign away the film rights.
yeah.
But he had a thought and changed it completely because he was terrified of the idea of Calvin talking or hearing Calvin's voice, which is understandable. It's a comic series, and the same scenario goes to all the gamers and the creators of the gaming series. But again, you want to do it. You want to make the big live action, bring everything to life, see Ganondorf in his full form in a realistic setting. there are some things you have to accept.
I think the closest we're ever going to get to seeing Zelda on any sort of like big screen or even a TV series of it is going to be the IGN April Fool's Day from 2008 joke trailer, which was fantastic, which got me pumped about it.
And then it was like the rug was pulled out and we're like, not really.
Well, I don't know. We could still see him in like Wreck-It Ralph 2.
It's true.
Yeah.
True. So.
Which he's still just going to be like,
Yeah!
I don't see a problem with that.
But to kind of finish this out, Legend of Zelda, there's obvious reasons why people might not want it in. What is a video game series that you would like to see translated to the big screen?
Star Fox.
Twisted Metal.
honestly, like the one that I really want is just I want Silent Hill to get a better sequel.
Okay. All right, Tommy.
Metal Gear Solid.
And
Yeah,
I'm right
that's a
in that
good
boat
one.
with you. I think out of all those, yeah, I think Metal Gear Solid would be a really cool one, but
Wasn't that Captain America 2?
I literally turned to Tommy during that at the end of the movie and said, "This is as close to Metal Gear as we're getting, Tommy."
Yeah.
And it's going that way. We might get it. Maybe we'll get it. So.
Hey man, it's
man.
I think they could definitely do it with the first Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah,
It seems like a
well,
good
it's
one.
kind of the same mindset that you have for like the Dragon Ball Z series or Dragon Ball. You would have to start at the beginning and be ground building because the
when
powers.
Goku's going to Unitech High School.
No.
Yeah, it's canon.
That's not
canon.
No, I'm talking about the animation, the anime, where he's a kid and
It's a manga
It's
first.
It's not over the
You
top.
would
It's not.
technically have to go to the manga first.
It's not over the top. It's not ridiculous power levels and things like that. And the same thing could be said for Metal Gear. It's condensed in this one area, and there's this big action that goes on.
Then wouldn't they need to start with like Metal Gear Solid 3?
Like the Snake Eater.
Yeah, like start with that.
I
tell
think
the
you would
story
have
of
to.
I
Big
think it'd be okay if
Boss.
they started, like, if they went in the order that the games did. I think it'd be okay that way.
because that's probably the way you'd have to do it.
I mean, and we'll probably have to get into this discussion another time of like video game movies in of themselves have a whole slew of issues.
Most of them are horrible.
Would the Metal Gear Solid sequel not have the main character in it?
Maybe.
See that's another thing you have to think about.
Maybe.
Like, he's not in it for the majority of the game. Like he's in the beginning.
He's in it.
He's in it at the beginning and the end, but.
He just uses a code name, guys. It's the same character.
I'm just saying, you put a lot of you get big success out of the first movie. Everybody loves Snake, and then you make the second movie about Raiden,
And he's a supporting character.
He's a supporting character, and then you're like, everybody. But do you go in and tell anybody? Like, do you really make it a well-known thing in the trailers that Snake's not going to be in a lot of this movie?
Look, I mean,
Like
people
the
who
game, like the game.
Like the
they
game.
did.
well, people who played the
Just
game
show
will
the
know
beginning of the-
going into the movie.
Like you show the beginning and end in the trailers and stuff, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait, you're like, where'd Snake go?
It wouldn't
Where
be a
is
big
he?
secret.
He's just off fighting crabs.
It's
Crab
like if they
battle.
had put
Yes,
Boba
I'm
Fett
so
in
glad
all the
someone got it.
promotional stuff of like Empire and Return back in the day. Just be like, it's in this for 5 minutes.
Anyway,
Like the Godzilla movie.
You broke my knife.
Corey, before we go, would you like to do birthdays today?
Oh, I could.
He has his phone today, folks.
I do. It was not dead today.
But
So,
But yeah, so I think what do you think are some pitfalls that would fall into what movie did you say? You said Silent Hill. Obviously, there's issues with the older ones.
The first Silent Hill, I think, is probably the best video game movie made. Like, it stays very true to the storyline. It changes only a couple of things, but it's not inherent to the story, necessarily. The problem I have with the sequel is that they tried to do too much in too short of a time frame.
it was a fun movie.
It was a fun movie, and I do enjoy it, but they tried to mix in too much of Silent Hill 3 and what the movie previously, the first movie, was trying to do and try to mesh them.
Fun fact, the first Silent Hill movie is one of the few movies I ever walked out on in the theater.
Really?
Yeah, I walked out on the movie.
Interesting.
Why? Like indigestion? Or
No, like I was just upset
Because
with
Sean
it.
Bean actually lived.
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
The second
your
the
video
sequel
game.
fixes that.
Yeah, your video game
Oh, I
choice.
said Star Fox. Like, but animated though.
Do a
Okay,
barrel
Yeah,
roll.
all right,
animated
that's-
Star
okay,
Fox
'cause I was gonna be
series
like-
or movie.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
not live action.
Oh, come on. You can do it like the Rocket Raccoon looking.
That'd be really hard
Use bombs wisely.
if they're all CGI.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be pretty cool.
You remind me more of your father every day.
Yeah.
But Star Fox is essentially Nintendo's answer to like Star Wars and those type of movies.
Speaking of video games, Corey, did you know that Jason is going to be in the new Mortal Kombat?
I did. And the Predator.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And speaking of
Possibly
fighting
Spawn.
games, was it Mortal Kombat that had they were trying to get another movie started and they had the web series, right?
Yeah.
Well, someone made like a really awesome fan trailer. And they were like, let's make this. Instead, they made it into a really sucky web series.
Yeah.
2 seasons.
And
So-
then Twisted Metal wouldn't work as a movie because we have Mad Max coming out.
Well, maybe we'll go further into detail about video games in a episode coming up soon. But
It's not like Tommy's pushed for that idea since the beginning.
I'm Jimmy and I blame Nick for everything.
Okay, celebrity birthdays.
Celebrity birthdays.
Roll
It
Smack and
is-
Jack.
It is Xena Warrior Princess's birthday.
Oh.
Today's Sunday.
Lucy Lawless.
It'll be 2 days old by the time you hear this.
Nobody cares.
The new transporter, Ed Scream.
That guy.
That dude. Happy birthday, dude.
Wait, there's a new transporter?
Christopher
He was in the-
Highlander Lambert.
Really? Good.
Turned 58 today.
Also known as Raiden.
And then I would say the most famous birthday today would be Eric Idle of Monty Python fame.
Oh, solid birthdays all around.
He
I
turned
like it.
72 today.
Oh, wow.
A throwback, just like today's episode.
Yeah.
He's still kicking in there.
Oh, the nostalgia.
We brought up like Xena and Highlander. That's definitely nostalgia.
I'd watch that fight.
Oh.
Nick, we have to write this.
All right. Well,
Xena Highlander crossover.
we're gonna go off and apparently do things. So we'll see you guys.
Whoa! Don't go out on that.
Hold on now.
WrestleMania.
Yeah, WrestleMania, and then Tommy's gonna want to make a who would win between
Xena and the Highlander.
Anyway, well, we'll catch you guys next time. Be sure to like our shows, all that fun stuff. We'll see you later. Bye.
Why?
That's a wrap.